Good morning, everybody. It's Anthony Bjarnes from Mission Star Podcast. It's a little late. My apologies. There are things that happened. Um, I'm going to turn you off and on because I need to record this podcast on audio for people who want to listen to us on the MP3s and the whatchamacalliters. Anyways,
The whatchamacalliters.
yes, I'm becoming an old man. All right, so as you might have heard that voice, we got a new, well, not a new face, but a returning face with us. So this morning we have Ramen.
Hello, everybody. Good
And
morning.
also joining us this morning is Greg Dietz.
All right.
Yeah.
It's like 3D.
God, no, not me in 3D. No one wants to see that.
Right. And as you can tell, my dad is yelling at me right now. Yes, Dad. What was it? What?
Cut.
Nah, that's
What?
alright.
No.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah. Anyways, so actually, hang on. Let me put your faces up here. Okay, cool. There. Anyways, so we got some stuff to talk about this morning. A lot of stuff happened this past week, and we're gonna get straight down to it. So, let's start with let's start with the esports thing, because the other topics I feel like we're gonna take a good long discussion on. So, recently, the Heroes of the Storm that Blizzard hosted or partnered with ESPN was aired on ESPN2. Now, the thing about it is that I'm losing my words right now. So the thing about it is that they showed off the Heroes of the Storm. It was a kind of March Madness type of deal, and it was basically kind of them showing off the game, but also at the same time airing on the side of esports on ESPN or on TV or broadcast television, much of which we've been seeing for the most part on Twitch or online streams, not much less on any TV, especially ESPN. And it was the first time that such an event was broadcasted, and it was great. I think that the best part of all of it, which is seeing just the amount of people on Twitter and on social media going nuts and saying, like, you know, what is this? Why is this on TV on ESPN? This is not a sport, you know.
Yeah.
And it was both, in my opinion, great and awesome, and at the same time, just like it kind of started this conversation that was kind of brought up again recently. Was like, what is, like, do we define esport as an actual sport? Do we define it as a competition? And I think there's been discussion about this since it aired on ESPN2. The numbers that I've seen from the broadcast on TV has been that it aired on ESPN2, but it only reached around 120,000 people that were watching, which compared to other events online, like it does not equal the amount of people that would watch it online. That is much more, like for Evo or like for other big events on Twitch and whatnot. So two set of minds happened. So one is that the people like us, the people who enjoy these events in esports, we enjoy the fact that it was actually happening, and like some of us like didn't really feel a need to really have an ESPN air. I feel like we're perfectly fine on our own with Twitch and what we have, but on the other side you have people like on the other side who kind of question, like, what exactly is this really a competitive sport? You know, you even had one ESPN analyst kind of criticize ESPN for showing Heroes of the Storm on TV and kind of question.
It was like the guy he was like, yeah, like I would like much rather stick like a gun in my like mouth and like watch this, or like ever have this on ESPN.
Yeah, definitely. So like it was
Even then it's like he had made those comments, but I guess like that guy has been known, I guess, to just like talk out of his ass and just like randomly just say like dumb
Do
shit.
you guys know
all the
what
time.
his name is?
his name is Colin Cowherd.
Colin Cowherd? Yeah, with like a name like that, he sounds like an asshat.
Like he has I listened to him a few times. He has his own morning show around 7 o'clock on ESPN Radio. And what I gathered is like he is not very liked within the sports community, anyways. So
Yeah.
it's
He just kind of comes off as like the like type of like analyst, just like, hey, like, what crazy dumb shit am I gonna say next?
pretty much, yeah.
You know
He,
what I
he
mean?
kind of goes.
He kind
Yeah.
of seems like that sort of guy.
He pretty much.
Yeah,
Just,
I wouldn't put too much stock into what he says because, A, he's now I have this thing about all sorts of media, and that's the closer that we get to the next generation, the less we're gonna have to worry about when it comes to what the generation thinks. So like, or what the past generation thinks. Sorry. Like every year, or every generation gets more and more progressive is kind of what I'm getting at.
mm-hmm.
So, like, esports is becoming a thing. It's becoming a big thing and something that is very noticeable. Who the fuck cares what this old dude said on TV because he doesn't get it?
Yeah.
Like, that's... he's going to be on his way out eventually, and esports will be on his way in.
Right.
So he can be negative about it all he wants. Everyone just has to remember he doesn't matter. He really, at the end of the day, doesn't matter.
Right. Because here's the thing that's interesting now. The funny thing about this is that regarding ESPN, the CEO, remember hearing about this, said that esports or the video game competitive scenes are not a sport in a competition. Yet at the same time, they are been experimenting with showing esports on ESPN3, their online streaming service, as well as on ESPN2 recently. So they've been dabbling in kind of what exactly this will bring them, and they can see that the numbers are there, that people are going to these events and selling out stadiums, and are really showing people like this is our event. Like we have this amount of people watching and going to the scene to the events live more than people watching one of the hockey playoff games, and it's cool. But I don't think we really need ESPN to really kind of showcase that. I feel like what we have right now is fine, because the production is easier for us. We don't have to worry about certain things. We can be more kind of ourselves in a way.
Yeah, the big thing that everyone has to remember here is that ESPN is on cable TV. That's very analog. That's not how we do things as a society nowadays. The more and more people are getting rid of cable TV or satellite TV and just having like a stick that they put into their TV, or sorry, not TV, stick they put in their TV, or using their gaming consoles to watch Hulu Plus and Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like my sister. She is gonna be 40 at the end of this year. Her and her husband recently just stopped having any kind of TV. They're just like internet and a Roku stick. That's what they have.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like,
And the reason I point that out is because they're of the older generation that might not have done that.
Mm-hmm. And if you
it's just becoming more and more of a thing.
And the thing to kind of also add on to this, like, in our generation, like, we don't want as much TV as other people did in the older generation, because everything we able to access is online, on demand, easily. YouTube is a great example of that. Twitch is if you want to watch streams live of events or other things, or just a person playing a game, or this show. So like I feel like that it's the combination, and I feel like the combination of like kind of like the newer generation of what we find as entertainment is kind of overtaking what the older generation is kind of still latching onto, and it is interesting to see that transition. But to kind of go back on the topic at hand, like I was watching Total Biscuit's video in terms like about the situation, and it brings up a good question in terms like do we, like, I mean, like, esports is a thing that was, brought out as a term to kind of identify what exactly we play competitively. But I think that what we have is fine. I think what we, the question is, like, do we really need ESPN? Do we really need other places? And my answer would be no. Like what
No,
we
we
have is
don't.
right now is fine.
Um, like okay, it's kind of something where it's like, all right, so I kind of feel like if we were to have coverage as gamers and of our like gaming events like Evo or like Heroes of Storm, like whatever like that, like esports on TV, I feel like it is a huge step that I think gaming would like would really really need because it's like not just about like oh yeah like we're on ESPN. It's more of like hey like let's bring attention to like mainstream audiences, you know what I mean, who are like maybe like not into like gaming. Also sponsorships too, you know what I mean.
That is a
Like you'll have, I
But
mean, we
again,
have we have our own sponsors right now within our gaming scene, you know what I mean, people who sell like keyboards, mouse, everything like that, But if we get attention of like mainstream companies like Coke, Pepsi, stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like that would be awesome, and I think it would benefit like gaming as a whole
I think
yeah.
for like that sort of
I
coverage.
think I think personally when it comes down to those comments about how like it could help with those, that's a possibility, but I don't think it's necessary. And the reason I point
Agreed.
that out is that go back to the same comment I made earlier with how that sort of thing is on its way out. These companies, a lot of companies, including the big ones, Pepsi, Coke, whatever, um, they are noticing this trend. Now, will they notice it more if it's on ESPN? Probably,
Yeah.
probably. But at the end of the day, whether tomorrow, because it was on ESPN, some dude who plays Street Fighter 4 gets a brand deal with Coke, versus 5 years from now when ESPN is it doesn't matter and Coke sponsors the guy. Like, it's going to happen regardless if it's on ESPN or not.
Right, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the money's
Like,
already there. Like the prime example is that what was it, Dota 2 championships
Hmm.
last year. They sold out the Seattle stadium, or the Seattle area that they hosted the event in, but the grand prize was literally $5 million. Every one of those people on person on that team that won came away as a millionaire. So the money's there. Like the money for these tournaments are huge.
Yeah. 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 Well, no,
It,
no. I mean, like, okay, hold on. I have to cut you off right there. I'm sorry. Um, okay, now, would you compare the money that people are making in esports, compare it to people who are in like the NFL
no.
right now, NBA? Of course not. Okay, and it's because of like endorsement deals. Endorsement deals comes from entertainment. Endorsement deals come from being part of this mainstream audience like ESPN, stuff like that, you know? Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean, I needed to make
Oh no,
that
no,
clear.
it's cool. There are sponsorships that are happening within the like right now, especially with some of the teams out there, in the kind of League of Legends, the Dota teams. There are sponsorships, and there's definitely are in that mindset. Is it as wide and as big as ESPN or as NFL or Major League Baseball? No, it's not, but it is getting there. I think in due time, I think that companies will start to realize that there are more viewers online watching this event than there are people watching it at home, and they will see that as numbers, and they say that I think we should jump on this. So we're slowly seeing that more and more with these online events. I think it's going to take time, but I do think in the long haul, if anything, there will be, if there was anything that would may happen, if ESPN decide they want to jump on this, they may just provide an entire channel or entire segment just dedicated to esports.
Yeah, that would be actually awesome.
Agreed. So moving quite along with this, so I want to take us to some place where, okay, the events of what's happening with Konami has just been staggering for the past week. Last week I talked about some of the early things that were happening with the downfall that didn't happen after the show was over, and things just got out of control from there on in. Let me name you a
Things keep
few.
on getting like worse and worse. It's so crazy.
So let me name you a few of the events. So, Konami has been denying or has been telling people that Kojima is going to be on the project for Metal Gear Solid 5 to continue to complete it. But has then said afterwards that they are looking for a new team to make more Metal Gear games. Basically indicating that Kojima is not going to be there. Number two is that they then start to pull Hideo Kojima's name off of some games on their site and other products as well.
Yeah, they took his name off of Metal Gear Solid 5. They pulled he had what was the name of his dev company? His section. They basically pulled the name off of it, and then they renamed it to Studio 801 or some shit like that.
Yes, pretty much.
They're just taking his name off of everything, and it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. The other things that went overall that happened in this timeline within a weekend or a few days, PT was being pulled from PSN, which then also led to the director Guillermo del Toro, the guy who made Pacific Rim, said in a panel last weekend saying that the game is not happening. We had a tweet shortly after that of Norman Reedus, who was modeled in the game, saying that it's not going to happen, and Konami didn't say or didn't come out publicly until Monday saying that yes, Silent Hills is officially canceled, but the Silent Hill franchise is still.
It was like Damage Control Central.
Pretty much. And then the other thing that was also more apparent, well, not more apparent, but just kind of added on to this this shit show of just of the events for Konami, is that they dislisted themselves from the New York Stock Exchange in the U.S. They're still on the stock exchange in Japan and Europe, but they involuntarily did it themselves. So with the combination of Kojima leaving, of canceling Silent Hills, on top of everything else I just said, Konami is in my opinion, from what I've been seeing, it rapidly sounds like they are wanting to get out of the game industry business and focus on what they are making money in Japan and other places. Because right now, for those who don't know, Konami has a lot of stuff they sell, and they have pachinko machines in Japan. Recently in Japan, they passed a law where gambling is legal. Apparently, the pachinko machines was kind of a way to sidestep that, and that was their way of making money off of people. So now that has passed, I feel like they are now going to focus on what's making them money and focus on that. And I believe that the game part of it, of their company side, is going downward or out the door in a more faster pace than people thought.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on all of this, guys?
It's okay if they want to get out of the game scene. I'm pretty sure what they're probably going to do, they're going to sell off all of their IPs if they actually go that route. I'm more interested in what the hell did Kojima do?
That is the question of the day.
It is did he sleep with somebody's wife or something like that? What the fuck did this guy do to where it's we're going to take your name off of everything? We're going to cancel this game that you were working on, that the game had so much press. You had fucking Norman Reedus, okay, Walking Dead fame. He is fucking huge right now. All right. PT was a viral hit. There were so many videos on YouTube of people playing this game, so many people streaming it. People were hyped for this shit. But then you go and cancel it. It's there has to be something else going on. Fucking Kojima did something, or I don't know. I can't think about what the fuck could be the reason why.
Yeah, they definitely. I completely agree. He had to have done something that pissed him off. And then
isn't it kind of weird? We haven't heard shit from Kojima at all.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was the one thing I forgot to bring up. It's
there was a Japanese game show thingamajig, in the past couple of weeks that he always goes to, but he wasn't there. I'm also pretty sure he's probably not going to be there at E3. So I'm guessing like some crazy shit happened and he's like under like a strict gag order. Like you can't say shit.
Oh, definitely. I have no doubt that he's probably under NDA in terms of the events that was happening right now. I'm pretty sure everything else too, because what I've also heard is like a lot of the employees and a lot of the voice actors that are in the game are basically just kind of promoting the game, but they can't really talk about what's going on internally. If anything, like this stuff won't be kept long. I feel like I feel like when this game is out, and I feel like maybe a year or two, some say 5 years after the events that happened at Konami, I feel like that Kojima or somebody can come out and say what exactly happened, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
You
me
guys are
too.
just
I'm just I
gossip
just
hounds is all you guys
well, no,
are.
I just want to know like because it's like all of this stuff has been like going on within the past like what like 2 3 months is when like all this stuff is going on and just like all this fucking crazy shit is just going on. It's like one thing after another.
It
Like one
is.
thing after another. It's ridiculous. And like really like it was just like from like one thing to another. It's like, hey, guess what, guys? Fucking Metal Gear Solid 5 is gonna come out like this year. It's gonna be fucking awesome. But guess what? We're bringing back Silent Hills. Everything's awesome, guys. Norman Reedus, fucking Guillermo del Toro. Everything's good, guys. And then boom, everything's fucked up.
Pretty much.
As
Yeah.
I like to say, shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's kind of crazy to see these type of events happen, but then, like, I can understand that they can be slowly trickled out, but then within a weekend, that is nuts. That is
You know
crazy.
what I find more fascinating than the fact that it happened?
Mm.
The fact that we live in a world now where it's news that this happened. Go back to the 90s, like 80s, early 90s. If something like this were to happen, it would just be swept under the rug. It wouldn't be a thing.
Right, definitely.
But today it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is.
Think about that shit.
So the next topic I want to bring up in terms of to discuss. So last week I talked about how Skyrim was on Steam's site, saying that now that they enabled modders to charge for their mods, and it's an option. They can do that if they want to, or they can have them free or whatever. And within hours of it going up, people were already up in flames about it. And it wasn't until Monday morning or Monday afternoon they decided to take back what they just did, and basically said we should have talked to the community more. We should have researched a bit more before we kind of threw it out there to the wolves and let the market decide how this would be. Because I was in the mindset of like, I feel like if you're producing content, if you are making work, and you want to give it to people and you want to charge it, then that's fine. You should be pay for what you do. But because if all games start off with Skyrim, probably the worst, because that's the most modded game that people use often, and all the mods that have been thus far been free. And having something kind of flash on is like it. People, it's like I got this free. Why should I pay for it? In my opinion, I would like it better if they just had like a donation option instead of just having the option for people to charge people. So people can still get it for free, but donate to the person who created it.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much the norm in the modding scene as far as I understand it.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it too, that also there was a good point that somebody brought up when I was looking into it, is that if you start charging for your mod, would you then have to talk to certain people in terms of using whatever modding tools you have? And I mean in the span of copyright material. Is the guy who made the Macho Man Randy Savage voice clips in his mod for Skyrim, is that going to be something where he has to go talk to Macho Man's people to say it's okay? Is it okay for me to charge money for this using his voice, or other things related to that? So it would trickle down to the effect of copyright issues, and then it would just be a mess in terms of how people would deal with it.
I mean, a lot of the mods and stuff like that, it's all right, like you have mods for like like you said, like Macho Man. There's mods for My Little Pony. There's mods for like all kinds of different things, like Marvel properties, Disney properties, stuff like that. And it's been okay because modders have never you know charged for their mods. So if they're not making money off of it, most of the companies are like all right with it. But the second that you start charging for it, hell yeah, like these companies are going to want to get in there and be like, no, 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 you can't do that. They're going to protect their properties. Seriously, I think the fact that like Steam did this and didn't think about that and wasn't like I feel like that if they would have kept this going, companies would have been on notice and Steam would have Valve would have gotten like their asses sued off.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Here's why. The way that the paying for mods would have worked was not in a sense like you pay for a game. It would have worked in a parody format. So having it in that particular bracket,
you know what? Yeah,
they
yeah,
cannot get sued.
that is true. Parody, yeah. Well, yeah, they could claim parody. I didn't even think about that.
That
That's
is
why I'm here, Ramen.
I mean, there's
Greg,
definitely.
you're so white and smart.
Whoa. White man.
Because like on your webcam, you're so bright.
Oh, like the actual color, not
Yes,
the skin
like the
tone.
actual
Got
color.
It.
Yeah.
he is the chosen one. He is the holy one. Definitely, it is definitely a multiple issues that need to be handled out. It is an idea that they have said they want to do, but they're still trying to figure it out. And
I think my biggest issue with it is that what you're doing essentially is forcing people to pay for something that they've never had to pay for before. And modding has been a thing that's been around for a very, very long time. It has been all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the coolest things about modding is you go, I want to play this game, but I want to do some crazy shit in it. I've played it a ton regularly, now I want to do some crazy shit. So you do some crazy shit. But it's also not the first time that a mod has been something you pay for anyway. Gary's mod costs money.
That is true. That is very true. Here's the thing that I do want to point out is that this was enabled for third-party mods to be charged if they to do so. There's already people who do charge money for certain mods or certain items within the Valve games. TF2, Left 4 Dead, basically most of anything. Gary's mod. But the thing is, the difference between that is that Valve actually kind of like they would sort out like, okay, can this be something that can we sell? If not, then deny it. If so, then okay, we'll put this up for sale. And they go through each item or each mod, whatever, before they decide yay or nay. This is more Wild West. This is more open-ended. It's not, nobody's really monitoring how exactly a modder will charge. Because here's the other thing. Let's say I'm a modder. Let's say Ramen makes like a badass mod that I think is really cool.
The ramen mod.
Yeah. So what's to stop me from taking his mod, like download it, upload it to my own profile, and sell it on my own accord? What exactly is Ramen going to do? And I can just proclaim like I created it. It's and whatnot. So there are multiple issues with this that need to be figured out before we can start putting money for people to want to buy mods for third-party games. I'm in favor of just having a donation box for people to donate money to the person who created the content, just to bypass anything that legal-wise would have been an issue.
Well, yeah, I think with modding in general, like that's been a hobby. It's not like you don't have to do that. I mean, you're not really doing anything artistic per se. So, I know it sounds bad, but I mean, realistically, when you think about it, like, unless you're creating like machinima off of this, I don't see the inherent need to have it be paid for. Is my point.
I mean, I don't know.
Yes,
Like, there's
if you really enjoy that mod, if you're a big fan of Gary's mod, let's say, or you're just a big fan of using Super Saiyans in Grand Theft Auto 4. I don't fucking care or no. Point is that if you really enjoy it, if you really enjoy something, you should pay for that thing. Getting everything for free is not how this world works.
Agreed.
You don't get to sit there and go, I really enjoy this thing and I want it for free, period. All the time, no matter what, I want everything for free. That's nonsense to me. It's a weird concept to sit there and say that we, as people who are entertained, deserve everything for free. You don't deserve shit. Just because you bought it? No, you don't deserve shit. That's just how I feel about it. And it goes back to the whole whole thing with damn it, why am I drawing a blank? DLC. People always sit there and say, well, we deserve to have this as DLC or whatever. Why? Why do you think you deserve that shit? You don't deserve that shit.
The thing about... I was gonna
just
say
because you paid $60.
Oh God, I don't want to get into the DLC thing. Oh God.
I mean, I understand your point, Greg. I feel like that what you're saying, I think, is on point. I do agree that for things that people make entertainment wise or content wise, people should be paid for. I say that, and then we're doing this show for free on Twitch, so.
and we have a donation place, don't we?
We do have a donation place so people can donate. That's right. That is true. Which is under this video. You can check out.
Greg wants you to give us money.
Look, here's the thing. When I was working for this group in Sacramento, who would put on a film festival every year, I was able to get in for free, but I still bought my $10 ticket because I knew that my $10 was going to something that was worth my time and money.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point. Not everything needs to be free. When a YouTuber says, please go to my Patreon and help me out, they're not saying, just give me money because I'm a money-hungry asshole. They're saying, I like food to nourish my body.
Mm-hmm.
Modders are doing the exact same thing.
I feel like Greg is just slowly becoming Jim Sterling over time, the more he's on the show.
God, I hope not. I hope you're highly incorrect on that.
I want to make that a GIF of him tracing his hand down his chest. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. But no, but Greg makes a very good point. So time will only tell. I think that Valve kind of learned their lesson in terms of trying this out of the open without talking to anybody. So hopefully, they learn from this and they move on in terms okay, so what worked and what didn't work, and then maybe attach some different method in how to do this, because it's a clear indication they want to do this in some sort of fashion. So the next one I want to bring up, out of curiosity, have you guys played Broken Age?
Yes. I played episode 1, but not episode 2 yet.
Right. I played some of episode 1. I haven't finished it yet. Episode 2 came for free, actually, for people who bought the first game. So here's the thing I was curious about. Now, Kickstarter for people have been something where people have been more wise up recently, and they've been able to see, should I really give money to this person who says he's going to make the game but doesn't complete it fully? And then you got those who are totally on board and they'll definitely deliver. With Broken Age, the game was delivered, but it was in 2 parts. And I was going to say, sorry, I lost train of thought. Damn it, Robin. Was gonna say, so it came in 2 parts. The first part came out, people played it, loved it, but the game wasn't fully complete, and people had to wait for the second part to be done. So, I'm honestly okay with well, I'm kind of okay, I'm kind of not okay, because if you're a Kickstarter and you're paying for a game, but it's half complete, there's a part of me saying they should have finished it for the amount of money that they had and time they did, but at the same time, it's kind of dicey in terms of each company to company when it comes to that type of thing. So out of curiosity, do you think of what what's the company name? Double Fine. So do you think that what Double Fine did with this game and Kickstarter, are you guys okay with the method and how they did it?
I think it's fine because they still delivered on what they said they were going to deliver on. I mean, whether you get the product immediately or later, I think that if you donate, you're donating for the prospect. You're not donating for the actual product. Period. Right. I mean, you kickstart anything, you go over to, like, the word kickstart in general is to hopefully get something running. Mm-hmm. It's not, it doesn't mean to actually get it running. So, the fact that Double Fine A has delivered on the promise that they said they would, I don't think it matters per se. I don't think, like, if anyone's upset about it, that's just because they're needy little kids and they don't have patience, is what it is.
Here's the thing I bring up is that they paid for a product. The product was half done when they got the first part, and there was questions as far as like when to complete the second part of the game. Now they did. Now with Broken Age 2 finally releasing the entire game, people are happy right now. The game is good, the game is fine, whatever. What this adds on to right now with the game industry is that there's still games that are coming out that are not completed or half broken or that are not done.
Yeah, that's absolutely a problem with Kickstarter in general, is that a lot of Kickstarted things that actually met their donation goals, there's nothing. There's nothing of that game. It's almost as if the person took the money and ran. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely an issue with Kickstarter as a whole. I think that tying that into Double Fine and Broken Age isn't necessarily fair, considering that they delivered on at least a half of the game. And the half of the game that came out, Act 1, was complete.
I was speaking more in line of the games in the game industry in the whole, not particularly Kickstarter per se. Okay. But like kind of it adds to what's already happening with the games in the game industry in terms of like how games are half broken, they're not fully done, like they are not fully completed when the actual product comes out. And I think what Double Fine is doing with this, I think it's fine. I would have had issues with it if they had said that they completed the game, the first part, but asked for more money for the second part of the game. Then I would have, raised some eyebrows if it came to that. But they didn't, and they fully delivered. And if anything, the most transparent company out there, outside of Bungie. They had a whole documentary about the whole thing too. So it just kind of adds on to the games are coming out within this new generation of consoles. It's basically just been rehashings of like old games and HD releases. You can't go without 10 days or a week and seeing a new re-release of a game that came out on the last generation, which is sad because like people who bought a new console is basically like, what is there to play that's an exclusive? And it really isn't. Much of anything is you can get on your old generation consoles or on PC if you have a good enough PC to run it. So
we definitely live in a world now where gaming has become a thing where it's almost as if, like, let's use the analogy for buying a car. You go to the dealership and you pay the $13,000 for the car, and then the dealership goes, but like later, when the car's been out for like 6 months, you're gonna get this really cool stereo system. You don't have to have the stereo system in the car. It's not necessary. It's an added feature that you can or cannot have. Sure, it costs $200 to install it, but it's up to you. Like, that's the world of gaming that we live in now, and people don't want to look at it that way. They want to look at it as you go to the dealership and you buy the car, and the dealership goes, well, here's the car, but it doesn't have wheels or an engine yet. Like, that's how people look at it, and that's not how it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether it's DLC,
It's like, hey,
Kickstarter,
here's the car. I'm not gonna give you the bumper until like next month, but you have to
To
pre-order
me,
the car.
well, that's not how it is. Like you're not
That's
forced.
kind of how it is. I feel like that's kind of how it is nowadays.
Well, we'll get into that conversation later, but that's
Yeah,
I do not feel that that's the way it is, and I'll explain why later. But whether it be, Evolve, where people say it's not a full game, or it's Broken Age, where it comes in 2 parts. At the end of the day, people are forgetting that gaming is not and does not need to be a quote-unquote lifestyle in that regard. That it is entertainment. Being this passionate and this annoying with gaming stuff, going, fuck Double Fine for taking my money in a Kickstarter and not giving me the parts 1 and 2 right away, is no different than someone who is super into sports and gets mad because a player was traded, or gets angry because their team's not doing well to the extent that they destroy their TV. No different in my book.
Mm-hmm.
You are being just as destructive, you're being just as annoying, and you have to stop. Instead of complaining about Double Fine not completely delivering on what you feel that they should have, go play video games and have fun.
That is true. There's two distinct differences between somebody who is very passionate about the game and the game industry, and somebody who is passionate but feels entitled to having a game fully deliver on their own accord. And there are 2 major differences in terms of like how said person is, and most gamers, if not all, are entitled to some degree. But at the same time, there is a certain level of trust where we say, I paid $60 for this game, I expect this, and this, and if they fail to deliver on any of those, then it's like, well, I'm disappointed. So there is a different 2 sides of the coin when it comes to issues like these.
Sure, if Shovel Knight came out and it was just like, it didn't have half the stuff that they said it was going to have, but it was the full title. Like,
Destiny.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's a decent example.
That's yeah.
But, yeah, like, I understand being upset about that. Again, keyword, upset, not I'm furious.
Right.
Like, that's the difference right there. That to me is the key phrasing right there. If you are disappointed that you had to wait however long for Broken Age Act 2, fine, whatever. Be happy that it's out now and go fucking play it. But if you are like, fuck Double Fine, fuck, I can't think of the guy's, Tim Schafer, you are defeating the purpose. You are taking everything a step back, and that's not what we need to do.
Agreed.
That's not at all what we need to do.
Agreed. So I'm gonna try and put this in one last bit of the show. The guys who made Five Nights at Freddy's have announced that they have their last game coming out. And it's called Five Nights at Freddy's 4, for obvious reasons.
Get the fuck out of town.
Because 4 comes after 3.
Yes, exactly. So this game was announced, and also on top of that, Mighty Number 9 was recently announced as well, in terms of they will be out on September 15th on pretty much anything. And I want to make this comparison because I feel like it is interesting how both of these games have kind of made its way into the mainstream in the game industry. Mighty Number 9 was kickstarted. I might have been Indiegogo, but anyways, it was funded by people, and it is being released on pretty much every system out there. And the thing, though, here's the thing: they were not able to release on everything until the very last minute, some publisher came in and said like, yeah, we'll help you release it on like, you know, said platform as long as we get our cut of it. And people feel like, you know, that was very a sneaky, very dirty move that, you know, the publisher did to just get a quick buck out of this Kickstarter that people funded with their own money in terms of getting this project done, versus what this indie group who did Finance at Freddy's on their own.
It's like one dude, Scott Cawthorn or something like that.
Yeah.
Cawthorn.
Yeah.
And basically kind of made the game an improvement over the various other games, in a way that it blew up, and it was something that people have never seen before, and it's this weird type of style that this marketing that they did. So, my question is that when it comes to if you're a game developer, would you rather have people fund your project or help you make the project and get game, but then have a publisher help send it all to all platforms for a cost, or would you maintain your indie dependent and then do your own thing and release it in the hopes that, you know, it blows up like how Finance at Freddy's did?
So I have a weird example on this topic. The other day, and I only saw this through Ego Raptor's retweet or tweeting towards Notch of Minecraft fame, but Notch had tweeted out this thing about how it's insane how people look at money. And he had a Twitter conversation with somebody because the person who was mentioned him in a tweet or whatever. I'm actually looking for it right now because here we go. So here's the conversation he had, right? Okay. Amber Cole says, I'll just say Amber. I sometimes wonder if Minecraft didn't create more content because they relay. Oh my God, what is with me? They rely
Words, Greg,
so
words.
heavily. Rely is what I want to say. They rely so heavily on the mods community to drive sales. Notch then says to her, well, to be fair, it's sold more on platforms where modding is impossible than it has on PC or Mac and Linux. She just tweets back LOL and then a picture of with the text, dude, you have $2 billion. Get the fuck off Twitter and go make some more video games, seriously. He then says to her, way ahead of you, I have Sublime Text, Paint.net, and about 10 tabs of documentations open right now. Smiley face. She says, friend, I have made more games in the past year while $100,000 in debt than you have with all your wealth, influence, and power. You have enough spare money to fund every single one of my experimental indie dev friends for a decade. He tries to be nice about it and comes back and says, great job, keep it up. She then says, yet you are here defending your ego on Twitter. Fuck off, holy shit, fuck you. Seriously, dude. You could blink and take care of me and a bunch of my marginalized, forgotten indie devs for years to come. You are being a cunt, holy shit. My PayPal is blocked out. I'm a marginalized trans developer, and I think you owe me reparations for having slain me this morn.
Oh my
God! He ends the conversation with, I did that by congratulating you on your productive year. So, I read that because what we're talking about is, I think, much like with DLC, much like with extended content, much like with anything, it's a case-by-case basis. We cannot blanket statement and say like all games need to be indie developed without any help, or all games need to be funded. That's not how this works. And I think that when we start doing that, people like her exist. people like her go, I'm more important than you. And that's bullshit.
Yeah.
We're
Agree.
basically, by doing this, we're creating a generation of people who are very entitled, who want to
But
develop games.
even then too, it's like when you have somebody who's like that, right? It's like yes, you might have like made games, you know what I mean, but she probably doesn't completely fully understand the like industry that comes with being an actual dev. You know what I mean? I mean, shit, I couldn't tell you how it works. I'm pretty sure none of us can tell you how it works.
Notch
you know what I mean?
didn't
But
know either. Like
the whole thing
Notch didn't know either
until I mean, well, he, he had his own studio and stuff like that. You know, so I mean, like he knows. Go ahead. Hello.
Yeah, there's always a delay.
Completely blank.
I was just gonna say Notch didn't know that until Minecraft started selling a lot.
Yeah,
he didn't know all that stuff about being a big dev.
So I mean, the whole thing about it is like, you know, it's just that like there's so much more to like dev works about that we don't know. You know what I mean? Like there's always like little pieces, always little things like we all as fans need to understand and kind of be like, all right, well, you know, we don't know the full story. We just know of just like games show up and we play them and they're awesome. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, like it is definitely sad to see that there's indie people out there who are feel entitled in this generation just because of like what they have and what they are given. They don't know quite the hard work that goes into these games or anything particularly around it and related to it. It is an interesting thing to think about, but at the same time, nothing is given free, nothing is given easy, and everything that people work for is hard.
Yeah.
So
I feel like the like title of this episode should just be like, nothing is free. Like simple as that.
Nothing is free. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes.
or don't be an entitled prick. Because of being one, I'm just saying.
Not you, the fans, just everybody else.
Okay, so I want to bring something up, right, about this like Five Nights at Freddy's thing, and I think it's kind of funny, and I also think that this Scott like Cawthorn guy is like probably the most like smartest mofo right now in like gaming. Because he's released like, how long has Five Nights at Freddy like been out since like the actual first one?
I want to say a past year.
Little under a year, yeah.
So under a year, right? Five Nights at Freddy fucking took off. All right, and this guy's fucking genius. He's so smart, okay? Because it blew up, and what is he doing? He's taking advantage of it. He made Five Nights at Freddy 2 within like a few months, and then 3, and then hey, look, by like the end of the year, we're gonna have 4. And he has ready like movie rights sold. He is so fucking smart for taking advantage of all the fame. Let me back
up. I think
it's awesome.
He's smart in one category.
Agreed.
He made a game. He technically made a really good-looking Flash game. Because if you look at the assets of that game,
dude, like seriously, like look, I have my own personal opinions about Five Nights at Freddy's. Like I don't really want to get into, but like I just kind of feel like it just ended up being a game where it's just like, hey, like dumb luck happened, and like everybody just like latched onto it. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like a special type of like circumstances, where the perfect storm happened, and now this game is huge, and it's thanks to streamers, it's thanks to YouTubers. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
Oh, he knows that too, because
seriously, the motherfucker knows it. That's why he's just like, I'm gonna crank this out.
That's what I'm saying. Is basically that's where he's smart, Ramen. That's where he's really intelligent. Is that he knew that that's what was gonna be a thing. He knew that like once it kicked off there, he was like, I just need to keep making the same game essentially over and over and over, and as long as it's very jump scary, a Markiplier screams at it, it'll sell. So
Agreed.
That is
no ill will towards him, but absolutely that's where his brilliance is.
Man,
agreed.
Exactly.
Very much agreed.
The other thing too that I thought was like kind of funny, right? It was kind of like the way the way the fan base kind of went, it was like, oh yeah, like let's just make this game. It's kind of random. There wasn't really like a full story to it, and then like the fans as a whole kind of came together and created a little story for it. And he's like, yes, that's the story. Let's run
Agreed.
with it, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
The
like,
question.
yeah, it's like, hey, I didn't have to fucking write a story. This kind of makes sense. Why not? The fucking fans are like clasp onto these concepts that they made up. Let's go.
The,
Let's
the,
make money,
the,
guys.
the question then becomes like, if you're the developer, would you keep making Five Nights at Freddy's, or eventually go off and do something new? Because eventually, like, it's gonna get tiring after a while. I mean, he's riding the storm right now, the wave, and he's definitely on that path. But do you think he's gonna keep going?
Probably.
Okay, okay, here there's a episode of the Simpsons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I can't exactly remember exactly what happened, but as far as I remember, it's like Bart or Homer. They're like about to get a like TV show, or like they get a like TV show, right? And then like Homer's like, yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do? And then Bart's like, oh yeah, we're gonna ride that sucker right into the ground, and and it's just like it's like why not? Like not just fucking like.
Just do it until they get tired of it.
Yeah, like shit. We are like
Yeah, people
they
like your
are-
shitty game, so keep making your shitty game. I don't see the problem.
They are on a
I said
he's
it.
like he basically strapped himself to a rocket ship. Okay, and it's like boom, he's fucking off in outer space. He's fucking making all this money. He's fucking awesome. Why not just be like, oh yeah, fuck it. Like let's just write this whole thing out,
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, guys.
So like one thing, it's gonna be interesting to see like what he's gonna do after Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Like, yeah, that is like, if because like this, the title of the game, it's like Five Nights at Freddy's, the final chapter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm kind of interested to see if this really is the final chapter.
Right.
I don't think it will be.
I don't think it will be with the possibility of like a movie being made and the shit ton of money he's gonna make with 4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this isn't the last one.
So here's an idea I'm gonna throw out there. And what's the guy's name again? The guy who made it?
Scott Cawthon?
Cawthon.
All right, Scott. If you're listening to this, here's an idea.
Which he's not.
Okay, but just in case anybody wants to tweet this out to him, this is for free. If you want to keep making the Five Nights at Freddy's games, if you want to make something a bit more different, I suggest reversing the role and you become the actual bear or whoever character trying to get to the person that is trying to keep you out.
Well, have you watched Game Theory's videos on it?
I have not.
Oh God, I don't want to get into game theory. I used to love him, and then it's just like let's just fucking reach at every possible possibility that anybody
That's the
or
idea of the
any
show,
fucking
Ramen.
like 12-year-old kid can think of in their mind, and let's just like ride that
fun.
shit into the ground.
Hey, it's
Like,
hey,
God.
that's his thing though. So
That's
but
the
this
whole idea of the show. But no, the idea is that the guy on the phone is the purple guy who's killing the kids, and from the first game, and I think he's also on tapes in the third game or what the hell ever.
Mhm.
And that's the voice of Scott Cawthon. So that's why I was making the joke of like he is actually the bad guy.
I see what you're saying. Interesting.
Spoilers: Five Nights at Freddy's 4.
I know, right? All right, guys. It been a little bit of a delay in the show, but we managed to get through it. I want to thank Ramen and Greg for joining me this morning to talk about everything game-wise. Before we go, Ramen, where can they find you on the internet?
You guys can find me right here at Mr. Start Podcast. You can find me on Twitter and on Twitch. It's Exiled Ramen 7. Give me a follow. I'll be streaming probably after this. I'm going to be doing some Dark Souls 2 and hanging out and whatnot.
Maybe if he's lucky, I'll stay on Skype with him, and then we'll have a chat on his
Oh
stream.
my god. We gonna talk about games still?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Shit.
Greg, where can they find you on the internet?
I don't know. Search Chub Rock Geek just about anywhere. That's more of a joke than it is less of a joke. But
You can find them on Tinder, OkCupid, bitch.
exactly. It's called big I was about to make a terrible joke. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at ChubRockGeek. You can find me on Facebook at ChubRockGeek. You can find my articles on this website. I write both reviews, previews, and very rarely an actual article. But you can also find me on Half Empty Energy Tank's website. I stream every Wednesday. Right now I'll be streaming Tuesdays as well, because we have an empty spot and I wanted to play Child of Light, so I'm doing that.
Awesome.
I think that's about it at the moment.
And then if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at the Victim Naruto. You can follow the work that me, Greg, and Ramen do on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. And let me actually scroll to this next slide. So if you enjoy this podcast or this show and you want to listen to an audio version of this, I suggest you checking out Mission Start Podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. You can also listen off our website as well on our podcast page. If you want to listen to our convention talk, we usually talk about, our experiences at recent conventions we attend to, how we think, the pros and cons of it, and have a full overview at the convention. I suggest you go check out the Con Over. We recently just reviewed the Kraken Con over in Oakland this past weekend, and we had Chris Sturm on and talked about his thoughts about the convention. And it's definitely on, this podcast is also on iTunes and Stitcher. And if you enjoy entertainment news, comic books, movies, anything of that nature, I suggest checking out the Rolling 20s podcast. It is hosted by Jeremy on our website, and it is on iTunes and Stitcher as well as on our website. And yeah, that's gonna do it for us. There's some stuff coming down the pipeline. Like for some of us on the staff, we're getting ready for Fanime coming up, and we're getting ready to cover that, and it's going to be one of the major stops for us for sure. So expect a lot of coverage coming at that convention, as well as other stuff down the pipeline. We have something in the works. I think you guys would be pretty interested to see what it is, but I won't say anything until then. Anyways, with that, we will see you guys next week. Question mark, depending on what's happening. But anyways, all right, laters.